Have you ever stood in front of your closet, feeling invisible? Like everything you put on either screams, too young, or whispers, too old? You tug on one blouse, slip into another, but nothing feels quite right. It's not that the clothes are wrong, it's that they no longer feel like you. If that's something you've been sensing lately, I want you to know, you are not alone. This feeling of not recognizing yourself in your own wardrobe is more common than we talk about. And it's not because you've lost your style, it's because you've evolved, and your wardrobe hasn't caught up yet. You've lived through decades of chapters. You've raised families, built careers, nurtured others, and now you're looking around wondering where you went in the middle of all that. That soft voice inside, the one that used to know exactly what felt elegant or joyful or you, may have been quiet for a while, but it's still there. And today, we're going to gently invite her back. Because in this video, we're not finding a new style. We're uncovering the one that's been waiting, patiently, silently, beneath layers of life, time, and expectation. The style that belongs to a woman who knows who she is, even when the world no longer tells her who she should be. So before we even talk about clothes or color or fit, let me ask you this. What do you want your presence to say when you walk into a room? Because that message, is where your signature style truly begins. And if that's a question you're ready to explore, I invite you to stay with me. If this speaks to something deep in your heart, would you do me a little favor? Let me know in the comments. Have you ever felt like your wardrobe no longer reflects who you are? Give this video a like if you've ever wanted to feel truly seen again in what you wear. And don't forget to hit subscribe, because this journey isn't just about clothes. It's about reclaiming the way you see yourself and letting the world see it too. Now, let's begin where real style always starts, from the inside out. 1. Color isn't just aesthetic. Let's begin with something that seems so simple, but carries far more meaning than we often give it credit for. Color. It's one of the first things people notice when you walk into a room. But more than that, it's one of the first things you notice when you look in the mirror. And how that color makes you feel, that matters. Over the years, many women have been taught to tone things down with age, stick to neutrals, avoid boldness, play it safe. But the truth is, your skin may change, your hair may silver, but that does not mean you have to fade with them. Color has energy, and energy has presence. When you wear a color that speaks to you, that warms your skin, brightens your eyes, softens your face, something subtle but beautiful happens. You come back to life a little. You lift, not just your appearance, but your spirit. That's because color is not just aesthetic, it's emotional. And yet, somewhere along the way, we trade the vibrancy we used to love for practicality. We pick safe over soulful. But what if your signature style actually lived in the colors you've been afraid to wear? What if the coral scarf you loved at 30 still lights you up at 65? What if the deep blue that reminded you of your favorite place on earth still belongs in your closet now? And what if, instead of asking, is this color age appropriate? We started asking, does this color feel like me right now? Your signature palette doesn't have to be loud, but it should feel alive. Start noticing what colors you reach for on the days you feel most like yourself. Pay attention to the tones that soften your features, or bring warmth to your skin, or simply make you smile when you pass your reflection. Those colors, not the ones fashion magazines prescribe, are the quiet foundation of your signature style. It's not about standing out. It's about showing up fully, in colors that honor who you are today. So, before we move on, ask yourself this, gently. When was the last time I wore a color that made me feel radiant, not for someone else, but for me? Because rediscovering that feeling is the beginning of returning home to yourself. 2. Fit is not about size. Now that we've reconnected with color, let's talk about something even more intimate: fit. So often, we think of fit as something to chase, a number on a tag, a shape we once had, or think we should return to. But what if we let that go? What if fit was no longer about shrinking into a size, and instead, about rising into your shape, the one you live in today? Your body has carried you through decades, through joy and heartbreak, through giving and grieving, through transformation. And in that time, it has changed, not in value, but in form. And it deserves to be seen, not hidden. When a garment fits you well, it doesn't just flatter your shape, it affirms it. It says, "This is who I am now, and I am worthy of something that embraces me just as I am." That's what true style feels like. Not tight, not trendy, but effortless, fluid, and in alignment with your present self. Sometimes that means letting go of old pieces that once served us, the ones we kept out of sentiment or out of fear that we might get back there someday. But the truth is, there was never the goal. Here is where your real beauty lives. Style after 50 isn't about fixing anything. It's about refining how we care for ourselves, including what we allow to touch our skin. So choose fabrics that don't just look good, but feel soft, breathable, forgiving, and luxurious in their own quiet way. Because how a fabric feels on your body often says more than how it looks. And choose cuts that allow you to move, sit, breathe, without apology. You've spent enough time dressing for expectation. Now is the time to dress for ease, for alignment, for peace. And here's a beautiful truth. When your clothes respect your body, you stop thinking about them. You stop adjusting, fidgeting, hiding. You just live, fully present, fully yourself. So maybe the next time you try something on, don't ask, "Does this make me look thinner?" Ask instead, "Do I feel free in this? Do I feel me in this?" Because the most flattering thing a woman can wear is comfort. Not laziness, but presence. That calm, confident grace that says, "I've made peace with who I am, and she's lovely." And if that's how you want to show up in the world, that's exactly where your signature style will begin to take root. 3. Accessories are more than add-ons. There's something deeply poetic about the details we choose, the subtle finishing touches, the quiet statements that don't shout for attention, but somehow say everything. Accessories. They've often been dismissed as extras, afterthoughts to an outfit. But for many of us, they're not just embellishments. They're memory, mood, intention. They're the whispered punctuation marks to the sentences we wear. A necklace that used to belong to your mother. A silk scarf that you only wore on special occasions, until you realized you are the occasion. A ring that reminds you of a trip or a turning point or the woman you were becoming. These small pieces carry weight, not because of their price or trendiness, but because they express something that clothing alone can't always say. They tell the world, "This is where I've been, this is who I am, and this is how I choose to show up." And the beauty is, they don't have to be loud or elaborate. In fact, the most elegant accessories often say the most with the least. A single bracelet that moves with your hand, a structured handbag that follows you from errands to evening, a pair of earrings that catch the light just enough when you turn your head. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Because after 50, style becomes less about trying to impress and more about choosing with care, wearing what matters, leaving behind what never did. And more than anything, it becomes about this: confidence. Not the kind you have to project or fake, but the quiet confidence that comes from feeling comfortable in your own skin and your own outfit. When you walk into a room and you're not wondering if you look okay, you're not adjusting your hem or hiding behind your bag or wishing you wore something else. You're simply you. And that, more than any accessory, is what people notice. The energy, the ease, the way your presence fills the space, not with noise, but with quiet certainty. So when you choose your accessories, don't ask, "Is this in style?" Ask, "Does this reflect me?" Because the woman who wears her truth in small details is unforgettable, even if no one can quite explain why. And that is what makes a style signature. So here we are. We've talked about color, about fit, about details that quietly speak your name. But underneath it all, there's something even deeper, something style alone can never quite capture unless it starts from this place, self. Because the real essence of signature style isn't about fashion at all. It's about coming home to yourself. It's about remembering the woman you've always been, before the noise, before the rules, before the world started handing out labels like too much, too plain, too old. It's about honoring who you are now, not the version you used to be, or the one someone else thought you should become. The you who has walked through seasons, carried others, lost herself at times, but never stopped quietly becoming. And now, finally, you arrive at a place where style becomes something sacred, not performative, not trendy, but intimate, grounded, chosen. The clothes you wear are no longer about covering up. They're about showing up, fully, softly, unapologetically. You don't need a closet full of clothes that fit someone else's idea of elegance. You need a few pieces, carefully chosen, that reflect who you are when you feel most at peace, most lit from within. Because when your style aligns with your spirit, something beautiful happens. You stop chasing beauty and start embodying it. So if you've been feeling like your wardrobe no longer makes sense, or your reflection doesn't quite feel like home, that's not the end. That's the beginning of listening again, of choosing again, of expressing again, not for anyone else's validation, but for your own quiet joy. And here's the truth. You don't need permission to take up space, to wear what feels like truth, to walk with presence, even in silence, to be seen, not because you're trying, but because you're simply being you. So wherever you are on your journey, whether you're clearing out old pieces, trying on new ones, or still finding your way, I hope this video gave you more than tips. I hope it gave you permission to dress like the woman you've become, and grace for the woman you're still becoming, because she's beautiful, and she's worth dressing for.